I'm Colin Baker, and you are listening to Mark Who 42, The Meaning of Life.
Welcome to the new regeneration of Mark Who 42. It's Life, the WHOniverse, and everything with Mark Who 42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and I'll be here with you doing this show, and we've got co-hosts. Oh, yes, we have co-hosts straight from the Mark Who 42 factory. It's Trish Fryer.
Hey, we're
Trish,
back.
how you been doing these past 6 months that we haven't been doing a show?
Kind of bored. So this is going to be fun.
Well, I hope we give you something to talk about then. We also have Iggy Matthews. Iggy, how you doing?
I hope I was missed. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, you were definitely missed, and I'm glad you're back.
Feels good to be back, finally. Let's cause some mayhem and chaos and destruction. Let's do it.
We've also
family friendly.
We've also got Zion Kiros. Zion, straight from not doing Mark Who 42 for 6 months. Hey, Zion, how you doing?
Yeah, doing fine.
Happy to be back?
Of course, every day. Happy to be back.
Mark Who 42, or rather Life, the WHOniverse, everything with Mark Who 42 is about science fiction, not just Doctor Who. Oh, we'll talk about Doctor Who, but we cover the gambits. We'll even talk Disney. I mean, we'll talk about everything, won't we, Trish?
Oh, yeah, especially Disney. That's my thing.
That's her thing. And today's show, because, Jodie Whittaker has been the Doctor for, well, as of recording, it's on right now while we're recording. I am missing watching Doctor Who on the BBC right now because I'm recording this, but I'll watch it, when you guys watch it in the evening. But because of that, we've only seen 8 episodes with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and we'll be talking all about that with our guest, Jeremy Radick, who, of course, is a friend of Mark Who 42. He's been on our show before, the old show, and he was Gareth in the 1996 TV movie Doctor Who. And we'll be talking all things Jodie Whittaker and Series 11, but first, let's go to the news with Trish Fryer. Trish, what do we have in the world of WHOniversal news?
Well, let's pay homage to our roots and let's do some Doctor Who news first. On December 4th, they're going to bring out season 19 of the fifth Doctor, Peter Davison's season 19. Yeah, sorry, boy, tripping over my words already.
It's so exciting. We can't even.
This is weird. I know. It's like I haven't done this in a while, and obviously it's.
Sorry, we got this.
Yeah,
in a swing.
We got it.
Okay.
Okay.
But let me interrupt you real quick so that way you can really get it.
Oh gosh, here we go. Okay.
There we go.
So it's going to be all remastered and lots of extras, and they're doing the same thing to Tom Baker's 12th season. Season
12,
Blu-ray, right?
Which was season 12, which was season 1, the first season with Tom Baker, is already out, and I actually have it. And the problem is, when they released it on Blu-ray, 2 of the discs on the American version and 1 of the discs on the British version were messed up. So they're still trying to get out proper copies of those discs to people who bought them.
Okay.
So I haven't been able to watch my first season of Tom Baker yet because 2 of the discs are not working.
Oh.
But
wow,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, but they're working on it. So they're going to release in a couple days, 2 days, because we're recording this on Sunday. On Tuesday, at least in America, the Peter Davison season 1 comes out, season 19. And then season 18, did you say February or March?
Well, February 25th in the UK and March 19th in the United States.
Yeah. So they'll have 3 full seasons out on Blu-ray, which Really? I thought they'd
yes.
never do, because I didn't think they'd ever remaster the episodes into a Blu-ray format so that it looks amazing on the screen. I mean, they have it on DVD separately, but having it as a season is great. You know,
What a
people
time to
used
be alive.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. People used to bootleg sell these. They used to sell season bootlegs at conventions until they got stopped. But they didn't have the extras that these have. These have all the DVD extras plus tons of other extras.
But Mark, how is the special effects going to look in high def?
Well, so, that's the interesting part.
Please,
That's the interesting
do
part.
not touch them.
There
up,
are
please.
certain stories where they've redone the special effects, and you can watch the old version or the new version.
Just like the 97 Star Wars. Okay.
You will actually be able to see the flaws holding up these
But
floatable
1977 Star Wars, you were forced to watch the CGI. This one,
that's true.
you can choose.
Choose wisely. Yeah.
Choose
Is
wisely.
this in like retail stores or is it online only?
It's Amazon. It'll be Amazon and other online stores.
Huh.
I'm sure Barnes & Noble will eventually pick them up. I think I did see the Tom Baker one, season 1 or 12, at Barnes & Noble the other day.
BNN, here I come.
Yeah. But don't forget, there are broken episodes. Well, no, they probably fixed it by now, so you'll be fine. Broken discs, but they'll be working.
Yeah.
All right, Trish, what else we got?
Well, speaking of the Fourth Doctor, he's now an author.
Well,
He has
been
a book
an author
coming out.
before. He wrote The Boy Who Kicked Pigs, didn't he?
You would know more than I would. But he's authored a Doctor Who book, a story called Scratchman, which actually is a story that he and Ian Marter came up with while they were filming.
Harry
Who played Harry
Sullivan is
Sullivan.
an imbecile.
But it's going to be published on January 24th in the UK and over here by BBC Books.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be an audiobook of Tom Baker reading it, which, just
that would be
for that
cool.
alone, that'd be
Yeah.
amazing just to listen to him actually tell the story. And do you guys want to hear the synopsis?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yes.
Because before you give the synopsis, I remember this was back in the 70s when they had some downtime from making Doctor Who, that Tom Baker and Ian Marter came up with an idea to make a movie. And it was going to be called Doctor Who and the Scratchman. It never sold. They tried. Doctor Who was at the height of its popularity. At any time a movie was going to get made, it was going to be made then, and they just weren't able to do it. But let's hear the synopsis.
Okay, well, the synopsis is: the Doctor, Harry, and Sarah Jane Smith arrive at a remote Scottish island when their holiday is cut short by the appearance of strange creatures. Hideous scarecrows preying on the local population. The islanders are living in fear, and the Doctor vows to save them all, but it doesn't go to plan. The time travelers have fallen into a trap, and Scratchman is coming for them. Hideous scarecrows, that sounds familiar.
Okay,
Hideous
the first
scarecrows
thing that
sound
went
familiar.
through my mind, what is it, hideous creatures or whatever are coming into, basically creatures are invading the planet. Is it bad that the first thing that went through my mind was, in-laws? I too have dealt with.
But see, now, the thing about Scratchman, the Scratchman is another name for the devil. It was basically going to be Tom Baker's Doctor fighting the devil. And we've actually had that on Doctor Who before, haven't we? We had Sutek. We had the Impossible Planet Satan Pit. We've had Azal from the Daemons. We've had him fight the devil before. So, in a way, it's not really an original story idea that they came up with.
Of all the names that you can give the devil, Scratchman?
The Scratchman, yeah.
I would like to know the origins of that. I'm perplexed.
Okay, well, we can always go right now
confused.
to
Google.
Wikipedia and look it up.
Because how do you look at the devil and you Scratchman? I'm like, I don't understand. It's not very appealing. That's like naming a huge villain like Susan. I'm not really terrified right now. No offense to the Susans out there. I'm sure you guys are wonderful. Make great memes.
But, scarecrows, I obviously think of Family of Blood,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they...
Well, scarecrows are terrifying, though.
I know scarecrows are terrifying.
Okay, I don't mess with that. Like, let that thing move even a little bit. I'm done. I'm out of here. We're getting in the car. We're not going to do Scooby-Doo and be like, oh, hey, why did it move for science? No. I'm
okay,
out.
this is this is funny. I just Wikipedia'd Scratchman, and let me tell you, don't ever Wikipedia anything, especially if you're doing a research paper, because you'll get an automatic F. But I'm looking at Scratchman, and every single listing for Scratchman has to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah. I googled too, and it's the same thing. I thought
Anime One Piece. The anime One Piece. There was a character Scratchman.
That's a good anime. That's a really good anime.
But Ian Marter, he had written because he wrote a lot of the Target novelizations, and Ian Marter actually wrote the Scratchman story. And he and Tom had tried selling it. I don't think you said this, Trish. Can I spoil this? Tom Baker actually made a plea for people to send money in, kind of as a joke, and kids sent money in to get this movie made. They had to send the money back because, that was not the right thing to do. It was kind of iffy.
Okay, wait, can we do that? Hey, this is just a joke, but can everybody who's listening to Mark Who 42 send us money?
Yeah, we could use money.
That's a really funny joke, isn't it?
It's a funny joke. Send money.
Oh my god,
it's very funny.
So funny.
But we don't have to send it back, right? We don't have to send it back. Right?
I'm not sending it back. No one knows me. I don't know you. My name's Mark Who 42. You can't find me in the phone book. You can't find me listening.
I'm just saying that we spread jokes are designed to be spread like a really bad disease. All right, so the same thing we do with this funny money.
Funny money.
Don't send funny money though. Don't send funny money. Real money.
No, we want real money, real cash, real dough. We'll actually talk about some money and ways to help Mark Who 42 at the end of the show. But that was good. That was very good, Iggy. Trish, what else we got?
All right, so moving away from Doctor Who, let's go to the WHOniverse and everything part of the show, and this one is actually about DC Comics.
Woo!
Yeah.
DC WHOniverse. I'm sorry, DC Universe. They should have called the streaming service DC WHOniverse. Then we could have been on.
Oh God, you imagine if there was like an animated series, right, with the Justice League, okay, and the Doctor just pops in. Ooh, what's going on here? And who are you? I'm Batman. Oh God, that would be so awesome.
I'm the Doctor.
Like, I just think it would be great. I would just be so thrilled if they were just you as part of the Justice League. I don't know, you're a superhero.
Anywho. Yeah. The newest issue of Doomsday Clock was leaked digitally online.
Shut the front door.
Yeah. Well, apparently Russian President Vladimir Putin makes an appearance in the it's all Russia's fault now.
There's collusion between DC Comics and Russia. I think I'm gonna start. I'm getting Robert Mueller over here. We're gonna get down to this.
Well, he makes an appearance in the comic, and so because Russia has a law that any media that has the president in there, they have to have government approval before they can publish it. So they sent the issue to the government. Well, somewhere someone got a hold of it and they leaked it. So
oh, hail 4chan for that.
I love the fact that it's all Putin's fault. That's
when your narcissism gets in the way of pure entertainment. Good job. Good job. Why don't you go eat a bear or something and mind your business? Jeez.
Go
this is why we don't
horseback
nice
riding.
things.
It's hot. Take your shirt off. There you go.
Which, by the way, he is uncomfortably fit for the age that he is at. It's just...
It's called Photoshop, dear.
Is that what it's called?
KGB?
I don't know. I was about to start eating bears because I'm like,
Adobe
obviously
Photoshop,
something's working.
It's KGB Photoshop.
Anything with the president has to be approved first. Does it make me look like a wimp? I ban it. I banned it. It's done. Get it out of here. But then America airs it. Hey, look, it makes it look like a wimp. Hey.
So tell us about the leak. What's it about? Ruin it for everybody.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
Oh, you don't have that.
Maybe
Okay.
I don't have that, but
Okay, then you have
Zion
the
probably
leak.
does.
Long
Zion,
story
do you have the
short,
leak?
I have the leak. So, long story short, Firestorm accidentally
Oh, no,
turns.
don't tell anybody. Let them read it themselves. Don't spoil it.
Well, Mike,
This is a
don't do
spoiler
that.
zone.
Oh, we didn't
It's
turn on the spoiler
internet
alert.
already
There's
spoiled
no
it.
spoiler alert on this new show yet, so we can't tell you. But is it going to be good, Zion?
Yeah.
That sounds promising.
That sounds very promising. I'm glad they leaked it. All right, so from DC news, we go to Marvel news.
We do.
And
this
world
part's-
news.
This is where it gets a little sad. They released the official cause of Stan Lee's death, which, I mean, most people would think, hey, he was 95 years old, or was he 96? Was it?
I think it was 95.
95.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, just old age, No, it was a heart attack, but it was complicated by respiratory and congestive heart failure. And he suffered from something called aspiration pneumonia, and that occurs when you accidentally inhale food particles into your lungs, and it damages your lungs.
Wow.
And it causes
I feel
problems.
like that sound we just heard is probably what it sounds like when you aspirate food into your lungs.
That
People try
noise
not
we
to do
just
this.
heard?
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's actually what my dad died of.
Oh, wow.
The same thing.
Wow.
That
So,
is-
yeah.
So he's up there in the ranks with legends.
Well, my mom died of the same thing that Jim Henson died of. So, I don't
Which
know
is-
if that means anything. Eh?
What is it?
You'll have
what
to
did
look
Jim
that up on Wikipedia.
Mike,
I'm not. I'm not.
God,
I'm not
you
telling
are acting like
I could tell you what it is,
university
Iggy.
professor.
All right.
I can
All
tell
right.
you.
Go ahead. Tell.
He died of walking pneumonia. It's a type of pneumonia that it's called walking pneumonia because you still walk around with it. You feel bad, but you don't feel as bad as you should.
Yeah, it's
And
the walking the
terrifying.
pneumonia and the boogie woogie flu.
Yeah, you keep on going and you don't get treatment, and then it can kill you.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. Okay, because I literally have a cold right now, right? And I keep coughing up and whatnot. See, now I'm going to be paranoid. Okay, because I'm like, Doc, I'm coughing. There's liquid in my lungs. I'm walking. I think the two are correlated. Help me. Okay.
Well, if it doesn't go away in a few weeks, then maybe go to the doctor.
Yeah, maybe.
God, or not. I like to live dangerously. Let's go.
So we got one more story to talk about. So there's been this report going around. Well, you've heard that Netflix has canceled a bunch of the Marvel shows.
A bunch.
They just-
It's like they've canceled all of them. It looks like.
Well, they still haven't canceled Jessica Jones or
Oh, it'll happen any minute.
else, but probably. Well, a lot of
Do we
the
know why?
speculation has been that Disney has a new streaming service that's coming out next year called Disney Plus. And so a lot of people are thinking, oh, they're really they're canceling them, like in quotation marks, from Netflix so that they could reboot them over to Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's really a case of take backsies.
Yeah. However, according to Rolling Stone TV critic Alan Steppenwall, he now I know he's not an official Disney source, but he has done interviews with these Marvel people and Disney execs, and he said, and this is his quote, he says, the execs have already said they don't want these shows on the Disney service, and even if they did, the nature of the contracts would make it virtually impossible. They're done.
Wow, because I like these shows on Netflix.
Why?
I thought the Daredevil universe was great.
Yeah, well, the Disney Plus thing is going to be, it's more geared towards family-friendly stuff, and as we know.
So how are they doing a Winter Soldier show if it's family friendly?
That is a good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
How are
it
they
makes
doing the
no
Winter
sense.
Soldier show anyway? Wasn't he snapped? A lot of people were snapped.
And instead of screaming and blood, we're going to have confetti and yay!
But here's also one of the things, okay? Disney, is acquiring Fox, and once this is complete, they will also have some control of Hulu.
Oh.
And so
Hoodoo?
there's,
Hulu.
Hulu, who do you do?
I was about to cancel Hulu. Now I better not.
So now they're saying that there's a possibility that they could put those shows onto the Hulu service instead, because that's what they're going to do with the more mature content is going to be shuffled to Hulu. I mean, they got The Handmaid's Tale and all this other stuff. I mean, no, it's not Disney, but yeah, Hulu does have a lot of...
The Handmaid's Tale, that's a great show.
It's a great show.
It's sick, but it's
First of all, I don't even understand why we have to do that. Okay, why can't the content just be out there? Put a parental thing on your account. That way, you have the family-friendly stuff. And when you go to watch things like, I don't know, Winter Soldier, you're like Little Johnny. No.
Iggy, why have people pay for just Disney Plus when they can have them pay for Disney Plus and Hulu?
Yeah, Iggy, also think of it. The title of the service is Disney Plus. Disney. So,
you know what's going to happen? This is what really grinds my gear, okay? Because we're going to end up going to Disney World, right? So you got to pay to get there. You got to pay to enter. You got to pay for the hotel, okay? And before you know it, we only have basic cable unless you want to pay for Disney Plus in your room. Hulu's another charge. But you get it free. You have to pay per day, though. Okay, like they find ways to siphon every last penny out of you, and they have the audacity to hide behind a mouse and tell you to have a good day. I'm done.
All right.
I tend to agree with you on that, Iggy, and I'm a big Disney person, but it's completely true. And why we keep going back, I don't know.
Because it's adorable and it's magical, and it's my childhood. And they're bad people for taking advantage of that. Smart, though. Smart.
Yeah, very smart.
They're very smart.
Speaking of Marvel and Disney, I've always wondered what happens to the Universal stuff with Marvel.
Well, with Universal still has they have the park rights to the major Marvel characters
for a few more years.
I don't know how long their contract is, but they always have the option to renew the contract or letting it expire, and then if Disney throws enough money at them, they might, but I don't know why they would, because they have so many attractions in their parks that are centered around Marvel characters. It would be crazy unless it was in the contract saying that they could go ahead and keep those, which I'm assuming they would want that, because why would they want to have to tear down all that stuff? Well, but what's funny is that it's only in the United States that Universal has the park rights to Marvel. Outside the United States, Disney has all the Marvel rights. That's why in Disneyland, they're building a Marvel Land in California Adventure, and because they can't use the major Marvel characters, they are going to be using Spider-Man, which I know is Sony, but Sony's letting Disney use it. and also it's going to be centered around Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's why the Tower of Terror is Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy is not a major Marvel property.
Wow.
Over in Disney Paris, their whole land is going to be based around Iron Man. And over in Tokyo Disneyland, theirs is going to be centered around Captain America.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Ironic. All right. Is that all the news we've got?
Yes, that's all the news we have for today. Get me off the Disney track, otherwise I will not shut up.
Yeah. Oh, and I just wanted to add that there is an event on New Year's Eve in Tampa, Florida called the New Year's Eve Time Lord Ball 2018. Finally, an event for Doctor Who and sci-fi fans on New Year's Eve. Ring in the new year with fellow Whovians at this unique and select event featuring Time Lord rock, fan panels on the latest in Doctor Who, live music, dancing, trivia, free goodies, live music guest performers, tons of fun for couples and singles alike, including, well, I'll be there selling, and really for bargain basement prices, some Doctor Who merchandise. We're trying to sell off the last of our consignment of Big Finish audios and books and stickers and badges at a real low price. So come there. It's $20 for pre-sale general admission, $29.95 at the door. You get $2 off that if you're a student or in the military, $25.95 at the door for that. Children 10 and under are free. This is open for all ages. There is a full cash bar available. Food will not be served at this event. Please come. For more information, type in your Facebook search bar, New Year's Eve Time Lord Ball 2018. Okay, right now we're going to go into the meat of our show. We're going to talk about Jodie Whittaker and Series 11 with our special guest, Jeremy Radick, Gareth of the 1996 TV movie, and so much more. All right, Jeremy, welcome to Life, the WHOniverse, and Everything with Mark Who 42.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we're grateful to have you on. We love having you on. You were our final guest on our last show, the live show.
That's right. I remember that. It lives well in my memory.
And last week we had an episode 0 where I took the interview from that and put it out there, and I forgot you actually were on before John Davey did the A to Z monster rap, so you got to hear that. So you're actually on last week's show too.
That's right. That is right. I remember that. That's awesome. Cool.
And you will be on next week's show because we're gonna play the competition that we did for Gallifrey Stan's 200th episode. I'm going to put that out next week.
Oh my God, that's entirely too much me.
So 3 weeks of Jeremy Radick here on Mark Who 42.
My family doesn't even want that much. Oh my God. You guys.
Well, your family's not Doctor Who fans. Doctor Who fans will take all they can get.
Yeah,
that's true.
So before we get into the meat of the... I said we're getting into the meat of it, but are you still with CapelessCrusaders.org? Because I noticed the last article you wrote was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. I'm taking a bit of a sabbatical from them because, and this is a good place to talk about it, I am currently editing the Image comic book series Rose for Image
that's
Comics.
Right. You said that, yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of taking up a lot of my time. I'm also working on another original graphic novel project as an editor as well. So taking some time off of writing about comics to actually help make some comics, which is a dream come true, and it's been wonderful. And so if you're interested in fantasy comics, I suggest picking up Rose from Image Comics. I jump on board with issue 13, but it's a great series. It's really wonderful. It's written by Meredith Finch, who wrote Wonder Woman. And the artist is Iguara, who is a tremendous artist. So that's kind of taken up all my time. I hopefully will be going back to Capeless once some of that calms down. But so far it hasn't started calming down yet, so we'll see.
This is a good place for Trish to make a plug about her husband, Ed.
Oh, yes. He just had his very first comic book published.
That's right. I know about that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a series, and it's called The Seer, and yes, it's available at Rising Sun Comics. You just look for The Seer by Eduardo M. Fryer, and you can order on there, and they will send it to you.
Cool. Wow,
Fabulous.
Comics. So this is really Life, the WHOniverse, and everything. We talk about everything. But let's get down to business. Let's get to the heart of the matter. Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. We have been watching the first 8 episodes. Episode 9, like I said earlier, is on right now. Actually, it just ended. So we're going to watch episode 9 after we do this, so we can't talk about that. But let's talk about Jodie and Series 11 up to episode 8. And I'm going to let Jeremy start because he is our guest. Jeremy, what do you think? How do you think Jodie is fitting into the role or not fitting into the role?
I think she's great. I had watched Attack the Block and Broadchurch and a couple other things that she had done before I even knew she was cast. So I didn't have a lot of concern that she wouldn't be great. And she's just been delightful. She's been really a different type of Doctor. She hasn't been afraid to play the role slightly differently, but the sort of boundless, infectious enthusiasm of it, the willingness to be a complete and total dork most of the time, but also, she's got a different way of interacting with people, and I think it's really clever of both her and the show to pick up on, to not shy away from the fact that if the Doctor is going to be female for the first time, there's going to be some differences in the group dynamics, but not to play that in a stereotypical way or in a, sort of shallow, dismissive way, but in a real, really deep and fun and refreshing way. So she's instantly was the Doctor for me. Like, that was not a question. But I also look at her and just like I've looked at any Doctor and say, well, the Doctor regenerates in many ways every time that they do so, and this isn't no different. So I just loved her. I think she's funny and smart, and everything's great. We'll talk a bit about the stories and whether or not they serve her, but
yeah.
I
was going to bring up the Witchfinders in that respect when you said, getting to having a female Doctor. We kind of didn't know we had a female Doctor until Witchfinders. It didn't really come into play that much of the story.
I mean, I kind of disagree with that because I think, like, for instance, and not to get too, like, whatever about it, but I think that she's way more inclusive as a leader of a team.
Well, yeah. No. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't, it could have been a male Doctor, it could have been a female. It was the Doctor, but in the Witchfinders, just because she was a woman, she couldn't be the Witchfinder General. She couldn't be this because she was a woman. And that's what people were afraid was going to happen every episode, and it was going to get dragged down. And I'm glad that it hasn't been a part of the story. It hasn't been because it's not important. She's the Doctor. And it only happened when they went into the past when women didn't have rights and women were thought of as possessions and things like that back in the Middle Ages, that was taken care of in the Witchfinders.
Yeah,
it was dealt with it there. I'm not trying to say that I like the fact that they did that. I think she should have been the Doctor all along, but I'm not a female Doctor. She is the Doctor, plain and simple, the Doctor. Not the female Doctor, but I'm just saying in Witchfinders they kind of pointed out the female part. That's all I meant.
Yeah,
does that make sense, Jeremy?
It totally makes sense, but I think that that's the story in which you want to do it because that's a story. That's a story about the oppression of women.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what that. I mean, the Witchfinders in that era of history, I mean, that happened specifically because people were afraid of the power that women had in their society at the time, however limited it might have been. And, the women that got murdered during that time, a lot of them were the same ones that helped people heal. And I love the way the story kind of reflected that. We're getting into the specifics of it. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think it's the best story in which to make that point. And I'm glad that they weren't making that point every episode because I think that really would have been tiresome.
Yeah. Trish, what do you think about Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor?
I think she's great. I enjoy watching her. I like her whole take on the Doctor. I like how she's intense and goofy at the same time, and just it's just really nice to see her committing so well, so much to this role. And I really hope she decides to stay. I know there's been rumors going around saying that she's already talking about leaving, and no, we need more. We need more.
Yeah, I heard rumors that Chibnall's leaving, that he's having problems with the production team and he's ready to walk out.
Yeah, I read that he never really wanted to be the showrunner, that he just took it, he was kind of forced into it, and he only wants to do maybe one more season, and talking about next season being only like 4 or 5 episodes or something.
Wow.
And then Jodie leaving at the same time, because I've heard rumors that the show's taking too much time away from her family. But I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I really hope that it's wrong. I mean, Chibnall, if he left, I wouldn't really be too sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I thought I was going to like Chibnall as a show, and we're going to go off of the topic a little. I thought I was going to like Chibnall a lot more as a showrunner than I am. Not to say I'm not enjoying Series 11. I am enjoying Series 11. I'm enjoying Jodie Whittaker. I think she's a great Doctor. But Episode 5, which was written by Chris Chibnall himself, the less said, the better. I never even tried to learn how to pronunciate the conundrum because I just didn't think of that as a good episode. So, but he's running.
I'm just going to say this now. I think that 3 companions is too much.
Yes. I've been keeping quiet this whole time. Okay.
It's... I miss the one-on-one interaction between the Doctor and a single companion. You know, even when there was 3, it's better than... I mean, when there was 3 of them, you know, like Amy, Rory, and the Doctor. That was a better dynamic than having 3 separate companions that each have their own stuff going on. And I feel like there's so much time spent cycling through the different companions that we're not getting much of the Doctor. Not enough Doctor, exactly.
Jodie because of the rest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's not enough focus on the Doctor.
Zion, your take on Jodie?
Overall, I like Jodie, which is something that I really didn't expect from me because I felt originally I felt like the idea wouldn't have worked, but she makes it work. The writing behind the series is a whole nother different topic for another time. But
and we will discuss that on another show. We don't have to discuss it now.
But in terms of Jodie and her acting as a Doctor, I am actually very impressed and welcoming to how she's taking the role. She reminds me of like a bit of a mix between the good side of the 10th Doctor and the kid side of the 11th Doctor, with both of their curiosity. Like, she's a very, very curious Doctor, and she plays that off very, very well.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that she does seem like an amalgamation of the 10th and 11th, with a little bit of classic in there. I mean, the fact that she does Venusian Aikido, I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. John Pertwee all the way.
Yeah, like, I just wish, like, I'm just gonna touch up on it just a little bit, but like, I just wish that she got more writing that's centered towards her, because picking up on what Trish said, the way how the show is written in today's way, it focuses more on the companions than it did back in the 80s and the 70s. Like, when we had Peter Davison, it was more centered toward the Doctor, and in that format, with four episodes and whatnot, works more with 3 companions rather than it does now. Because in terms of now, you need to write more for companions and whatnot to fit the way how TV works these days.
Well, and there's less of a show because they had 4 episodes, you know, for the 4 companions to have some characterization and still have the plot. Well, now you've got 50 minutes to have a plot, the characterization, and it just, I mean, it's rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall,
100 minutes versus 50 minutes.
She's good.
Yeah, you had more time for 3 companions back in the Davison era and back in the Hartnell era. And should I say the John Pertwee era? Because Unit there were quite a number of if you call them companions, quite a number.
Yeah, looks like what, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Of Unit. Yeah.
And that worked.
It did.
Iggy.
What's up?
What's up?
So, I'm trying. I'm not wanting to piggyback too much, but unfortunately, I think, you know, like-minded individuals, birds of a feather flock together. And unfortunately, I agree. Initially, when I seen Jodie, I don't think I treated her any differently than I did every other Doctor. Definitely shared equality. I did not like her. I did not want her. I did it with every Doctor, every reincarnation, and I act like it's a new thing, even though this is part of the cycle. Okay, but I'm like, no, it's not. What is you doing? What is this? What are you wearing? Why are you talking like that? Why do you make those facial expressions? I don't like it. And then now it's like, I'm learning to read the Doctor, and I'm really, you know, learning to understand and be like, you know, kind of in her head a little bit. So I'm warming up, but the companion thing is really what's shifting my focus right now, because it seems like we're doing all these different things. And my favorite part about the Doctor is the fact that the Doctor is also a teacher. You learn things, whether it's, you know, some legitimate things or whether it's just in the science fiction world. The Doctor's a teacher. It's a guide. Obviously a protector, defender and whatnot, but I feel like at the very least, one of the companions, one of them needs to die a very horrible death.
Okay. I'm gonna have to put my foot down here. All right. So if we were going to kill off one of the companions right now in episode 9, we missed episode 9. It's already happened. It didn't happen. Would you get rid of Graham Ryan or PC Yasmin Khan?
If anyone says Graham, you are wrong. I'm just saying this right now.
I was going to say that, but you know what? I'm not going to let you answer. I don't think you can get rid of any of them. They are all good companions. They work.
I didn't say they weren't good companions. I said there are too many good companions. Okay, there's a reason polyamory doesn't work. Doesn't matter. They're good companions. There's too many.
Yeah, but Ryan and Yaz work together. Graham and Ryan work together. The Doctor really gets along with Yaz, so I think you can. But you can't get rid of Ryan or Graham. And to be honest, from what I understand, it was either Tazan Cole or Manip Gill. I don't remember which one in an interview saying, it's possible that next season one companion will not be back. And I'm reading the British papers and stuff. And I see that Bradley Walsh has a possible ITV talk show starting next year. So I'm thinking
and that's the one
they're
that I
kill
would boot.
Graham off with cancer.
Yeah, they are.
Well, here's the thing. I actually am going to take a bit of a different take. I don't think the TARDIS is too crowded. I actually don't think that's the problem. Because I think that when I started watching Chibnall's earlier stuff, he's great on characters, and he's created 4 really interesting characters. Here's the only problem I have with the season so far, and it kind of reflects on the writing and the companions, so that's why I'm bringing it up now. And my problem is that they wanted to scale down the Doctor's adventures, which I understood. And to me, the strongest episodes have basically been Rosa, Devil in the Punjab. I like Witchfinders a lot. And the reason why those are strong is because those basically talk about how there are some wrongs that the Doctor just can't right. She doesn't. She has to just bear witness to them because it's not her job to right every wrong. That's not really something.
And even ensure that it happens too.
Yeah, exactly. And even to bear witness. And I think that those are amazing episodes and wonderful episodes, but I think they're good as a change of pace. And the weakness to me is that the show has not had, this series has not had enough big moments where Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor has been able to show that she is the hero who does solve the problems. Kerblam is really the closest that she's come to that. And a bit in Witchfinders. And I think that's why all of us feel like it's too crowded. It's not that it's too crowded. It's that they haven't spent enough time saying this show's called Doctor Who, and she should out and out win and beat the bad guys. And initially I thought not having the Daleks and the Cybermen was a really good idea to allow her to establish herself. And now I'm not so sure because I don't think she's had really great antagonists, and therefore she seems diminished as a result of not fighting big fights.
I agree 100% on that.
And that's too bad because I don't want the first female Doctor, especially one as good as Jodie has been, to seem smaller in stature. I don't need her gritting her teeth like David Tennant and telling everyone he's a Time Lord and he's 900 years old and this stops now. But I do need her kicking butt every once in a while to be like, we came out of that, we won, we saved this planet or this society, and now I'm going to race off in the TARDIS like the hero that I am. I just need some of that some of the time. And I feel like that's the weakness for me, that we haven't seen that as of yet. Maybe we'll see it in the last 2 episodes. I hope we do. But I really want that big bombastic win. That's what I'm missing.
Well, let's hope that the Daleks are showing up in that New Year episode. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I can actually agree with that. I can actually agree with that stance. Actually,
me too.
Well, you know what? I'm not even surprised because every time we've had you interviewed, I always go against you. Okay, and somehow you're like, hold on, let me spin this around a little bit. Okay, it's like what is it, Princess Bride, when they're having the poison exchange? Like I shouldn't be surprised at this point.
Never get into a death match with Sicilians when death is on the line.
They're both poisoned.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. She hasn't had any major hard-to-defeat baddies this season at all. It has been easy defeats. And, yes, they've been hard. I mean, Rosa having to sit on the bus and be part of history. That was strong. But she hasn't had a universal calamity to deal with. She hasn't had even a planet. Well, I guess there has kind of been a planetoid, but it hasn't felt that there's been jeopardy. I don't think.
Yeah. And I felt like in Kerblam, like when she told off the two execs and when she stopped the death of like 10,000 people or whatever it was going to be, I thought that came very close, and I thought that was satisfying. Yeah. But I do want a moment where, she wins and she does something great and she comes into the situation and she really, not a conflicted win or a small scale win, and it doesn't even have to be catastrophic or apocalyptic, but just have it be whatever situation she comes into, to have it be like, yeah, and guess what? Like the doctor's here and you're screwed. And that's a feeling that we got so many times in the series coming up to it. And I get what they're trying to do, but I think it's one of those things that it's a little harder to ditch and still feel satisfying than the production team might think. Taking it back to the Cosmic Hobo Troughton years, I don't know if that can work after however many seasons of, a doctor who is this heroic. So it's the only thing that's missing for me.
Yeah. Speaking of Kerblam, I want to say something that I've been wanting to say for the last 2 weeks and didn't have a place to say it, but now that I have my show again, I can. Bubble wrap gets vindicated. We had bubble wrap when it was invented, painted green in Ark in Space, and everyone who saw it then was, "Ooh, that's new." And then everyone after that, was like, "Oh, this is bubble wrap. It's cheap effects." And now bubble wrap has claimed immortality as being a powerful, evil weapon because they can explode and kill you. So yes, for bubble wrap as a villain, I salute you.
Fear the bubble wrap.
Yes. And we didn't have to paint it green this time. We could just use regular bubble wrap and scare the crap out of you. It's great.
And you guys are sitting here laughing. That I actually legitimately have a trauma with bubble wrap. I don't want to talk about it, but this is very insensitive.
Yeah, I want to bring up something real quickly.
Okay.
I feel like in terms of how the Doctor is written right now, she's more of a traditional Time Lord than ever before. Because, like, as far as I know, the Doctor, he's defined as how he was by the time in Earthshock. He is a Time Lord whose race is sworn not to interfere, but all he does is interfere. Mm-hmm. While in this series, as far as I can tell, she stresses, and I mean stresses, that we cannot interfere. And I feel like she's just a bit too neutral around the stories. Because, like, you have
I see what you're saying.
You have the arachnids in UK. The guy shoots the queen and she gets mad. You got the first episode and the teeth guy died and she gets mad. Mm-hmm. And then just past episode, she gets mad as well for the exact same thing. And, like, it's just not about, like, when you're in danger and things happen, the Doctor knows that these things happen and certain things happen. But in this round, she's like, we try and not interfere as much as possible, but that, in my opinion, directly interferes with what the Doctor actually is, and he's an interfering person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, like, when she jumped into the river and immediately started swimming to that woman who was being drowned, that really felt like that's something the Doctor would do, right?
Yes.
Regardless of being outnumbered or anything else, she would jump into that river. I was, and I thought that was a moment where I'm like, yeah, go get him, and that's I think that's what you're saying, that, interfering it's not conscious for her. She has to do it. It's like a compulsion. So I think that was a great moment.
I have a question about arachnids in the UK. Did it ever end? Did the episode end? Because the town still has giant spiders. The giant spiders that went to the panic room, Did the Doctor remember to close them in and let them, I guess, cannibalize each other until they were gone?
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It didn't seem like an ending. And actually, if you notice during the season, there are a lot of villains that get taken away real easily in a way that they could come back. And I'm wondering if episode 10, if the time traveler in Rosa is going to come back fighting with the aliens from Women Who Fell to Earth and mentioned in Ghost Monument, and we're going to have a new presidential election. Because they're in limbo. They weren't really defeated.
Shimshaw.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, with the Chris Noth character, I always thought that was the point. Like, it was
Chris
basically
Noth
like...
should have been killed in the first 5 minutes.
No, it's not
character.
her. But, well, maybe by the
Trump.
spiders.
I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. Because first of all, how can he run against Trump? Trump would be the incumbent. What? Chris Noth's character is going to be a Democrat or an independent? No, he's a Republican. So he'd never become president. That did not sit with me.
I took his character as a stand-in for Trump because he has a hotel and he's trying to become president.
Well, no, but
it almost fits in.
He specifically said he was going to go against Trump, that he wasn't Trump, you know.
Yeah. Of course, like, what I'm saying is that if they could have used Trump, they would have used Trump. But the fact that I just see the similarities there, it's just too hard to not miss, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be an analog to Trump. I think they chose to make a joke about him like not liking Trump and he doesn't take his calls or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that was a joke that if I were editing that, the script editing that, I'd be like, we're going to take that out because he's either a Trump analog or he's not a Trump analog. And I thought it was fine, him getting away, because I felt it was another time where the thing said, you know what, guess what? The Doctor, if you want the Doctor to come in and change the political system of every planet she goes to, that's a problem, right? Some problems are ours to solve. And unfortunately,
that's true.
Donald Trump is ours to solve, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we live in a society where we don't want to take care of our own problems right now, and that's why we have anxiety and depression, because we're looking at everything that we have to do that we don't want to do, and that is overwhelming in itself, so we don't do it.
Wow.
Welcome to 2018.
Welcome to 2018, yeah. Where were you before the election? Oh, that's right, we weren't doing a show.
Let's not talk about this. Let's not talk about that. We're good.
Let's not talk about this.
We're not going to talk about it. We're good.
Yeah. I have been enjoying Jodie Whittaker. I think she's great. We sit down, me and my girlfriend, we sit down every Sunday. It's, let's watch Doctor Who, I'm told. And I'm usually the one instigating, let's go watch Doctor Who. Now I'm the one being told, well, it's time for watch Doctor Who, Mark. So I'm enjoying it immensely, except for and I'll try to pronounce it, Tsuranga Conundrum. The Tsuranga Conundrum. Except for that story, I have been enjoying this series a lot. I do like all the companions. I think Bradley Walsh is up there with Bernard Cribbins. I think he's a wolfish character. He's great. Ryan, with his handicap, Dave touched on that a few times, so it wasn't just, you meet the character, he has this problem, and then they never discuss it again. They have been discussing it. Yaz has been acting like a police officer in certain episodes, and that's good. And you know who? I actually think that we should have had one more companion. We should have Grace. I want Grace. Yeah. I feel bad for Graham and Ryan that Grace isn't there anymore. And yes, there was a flashback and or was it a dream sequence? I don't even remember. But I thought Sharon D. Clarke as Grace, she did a great job, and I would have loved for her to, and her character would have loved to have been on the TARDIS team. And yes, that's what they call it, the TARDIS team. That I'm not really sure how I think about that.
Team TARDIS.
Team TARDIS, right? I don't know. Team TARDIS? Anyone?
It's weird. Yeah. It is better than FAM, I will tell you that much.
Okay, better than FAM, I agree.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be the Tard fam, okay?
Don't do it again, or we'll get in trouble.
And frankly, Companion is I mean, we're all used to it, but it's a very weird loaded, bizarre kind of phrase.
Yeah.
Like I love when in season way back in the first the only Christopher Eccleston season where Rose comes back for the first time and the cop says to them like, he's like, well, I employed her as my traveling companion, and the cop goes, is this a sexual relationship? Like it's like it was a great joke, but it was also like, yeah, that's a weird phrase to say. Like,
Liz Shaw and Joe Grant were assistants. They weren't really. Joe grew into companion, but originally they were assistants. Unit was a family. I don't know.
Yeah, like Peter Capaldi called Clara his assistant, and then immediately corrected himself because that's also a weird thing to say to someone you don't pay.
Right.
or who you have weird unresolved tension with. So I don't know. I like the fact that the series has played a joke about like she doesn't really know what to call them, and she continually like gang, team, fam. She's always trying different phrases or terms, and I think that's kind of funny. It's playing off of it's very meta and playing off of the fact that what do we call them? Like they're just her friends that she travels with, and it's weird. It's a TV thing. Like when I go out with my buddies to go to the bar or go on a trip or something like that, I'm not like, all right, team, let's go. And nobody says that. Nobody says that, right? So it's
For
kind of
satire purposes, we shall now start implementing that.
All right, that sounds great, team.
Okay.
Let's go, team.
Yeah.
Go team.
We're Team
Come on,
Marku 42. So, do we have any final thoughts about Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor and Series 11 in general, guys?
I'm about to start that road rage. Okay, Missy was better. Missy's better.
Missy was better.
Missy's better. I don't. That amount. You can't beat that amount of woman and sass.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what, Missy?
You just can't.
Yes. Okay. I'll allow that. We will not buzz that one. Next.
Jodie's good, but Series 11 could be better in my opinion.
Okay.
Zion, I would never want to go on a date with you, okay? Like, I just like, what was that, okay? Like, did you have a good time tonight? It was good. I think that the food could have been better. You gotta have a girl feeling like,
That is
oh my God,
exactly
he
how
don't
I
like
am
me.
on
He doesn't
dates
like-
too. That is exactly. Wow.
Oh no!
Oh my
This
goodness.
explains too much. We're revealing a lot here.
Oh no! You're like, I don't know. Zion doesn't like me. Why does she think she doesn't like me? I don't know. This is you.
That's fine.
Oh, let's see. I would say, keep watching. Get better writers.
Get better writers. Well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Chris, maybe you're leaving. But
Yeah.
and here, I hate to say this, you do realize this is the first time we've had as many female writers as we've had on the show.
And
There are a
directors,
lot
too.
of women writers on this show, and
the directors too.
and
a lot of
directors,
female
too.
directors.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to expand on the men's club, the men's only
Which is
club.
that's a great thing. I think they're also limited a little bit. Like, I think they've also been told, hey, this season are some goals. You imagine you get hired to write Doctor Who, and they're like, oh, yeah, and you can't write the Daleks or the Master or the Cybermen. We're only going to create new things, and we're going to scale it down. And so, maybe another season where there aren't. Like, I bet you after this season is as good as the results have been, there's probably some pressure from the BBC to say, okay, we've got to sell lunchboxes and,
Yes.
blankets and stuff. Can you maybe drop a Dalek story or a Weeping Angels thing coming up, please? Because we need to bring some of that back.
Merchandising
So
is king.
yeah, and it's fine. It pays for the show, so it might be the thing. You know what? The only thing I would say is I just want more of her about Jodie. Is I just want her to do more, and that'll make me happy because I think she's great. I just want her to really just be given the room to shine, and so as long as that happens, then I'm a happy camper.
Okay,
Okay.
I thought about it, and now I have something to add. The Doctor needs more mythos. Like I feel like in this stage of the game of the Doctor's life, the way how they screamed through the last 10 years that the Doctor is now this giant figure in the universe, and the Doctor has even caught onto it and used it to his advantage, and none of it is being used in this series. It almost feels like the Doctor isn't really being the Doctor.
It kind of seems like she has the memories, but she's not using the intelligence that she's learned from 2,000 years and experience from 2,000 years to help solve what she's doing. And maybe that's because they're little incidents and not big major catastrophes that she has to solve. But she's not using the Doctor's experience and the Doctor's knowledge to solve this. She's kind of just, she's very intelligent and she can solve it that way. And I think that's what you're getting at, Zion. Is that what you're...
Like, I will give it an example. In Rosa, when the time murderer literally said to the Doctor, if I see you again, I'm going to murder you and all your friends. And the Doctor just said, oh, okay, then I guess we'll go off. Given that she had a plan of one night and didn't actually leave, the Doctor would be like, does this guy not know who I am, or do I need to talk to him and like erase him from time right now? like stuff along those lines. Like the Doctor would have used his figure as like, look, you could threaten me, but not any of my friends at any speaking time. I don't care what you do or whatnot. And I feel like that's a bit missing from Jodie's Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's very passive, very woman's place. But aside from that, I think she's great.
All right. Well, we're going to end this discussion here, except for one more thing. I am actually going to, for the first time in the history of Mark Who 42, I am going to let our co-host and our guest decide the name of this episode. I've already made the banner for this episode in 2 ways, and they're done with the Mission Impossible font. One is called Regeneration Debatable, and one is called Regeneration Successful. Which should we use for this episode?
Well, seeing that we're debating this right now, it's debatable. You could go either way.
Well, that's not going to help. That's one for neutral. Next.
I would say Regeneration Successful. If we're just talking about her, she's great. There's none of the problems. I mean, there are some problems. They're not major ones, but none of the ones that are happening are at all down to her. I think we all like her and just want to see her do more. So, yeah, Regeneration Successful for me.
All right.
I agree with that. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that as well.
All right, so I am going to erase the other ones. No, I'm going to keep them for that. That's going for our bloopers. The wrong title.
Keep it for the next Regeneration when it's Chris Marshall or something, or
Yeah.
Keep it for that. Keep it for the next choice.
Okay, I will. See, because I originally came up with Regeneration Debatable, and then I thought, yeah, but that's kind of harsh. I think Successful would work better, and I'm glad that you guys picked that too. Well, I'd like to thank Jeremy Radick.
The Academy?
No, I'd like to thank the Academy too, and one day maybe I will. I'd like to thank Jeremy Radick for coming on our first real episode of Life, the WHOniverse, and Everything with Mark Who 42.
Excited. Thanks for having me, you guys.
And like I said, probably next week we'll have our game show moments where we absolutely, spoiler alert, slaughter the questions that are asked of us.
Damn right.
That's right.
Damn right.
I do want to say one last thing. Well, 2 last things. First of all, I hope you like the new theme music out there. It was done by Sam Beckwith, an up-and-coming music composer and sound designer, and also graphic designer. He is my kid. I gotta give it to him. And I'd like to also say we want to let you know that we're not having commercials on this show at this time, because what we're going to try to do is put out an old-fashioned fanzine. A fanzine with stories and artwork by you, the listeners, are fans of Mark Who 42. If you have a story or artwork or something that you want to be put into our fanzine, you can send them to mark@markwho42.net. There's also on our Facebook page on the top of it an email button that you could press, and you can also find that email on podcast platforms as well. We're going to be distributing the fanzines by starting a Patreon account. We haven't come up with the amount yet, but probably between $2 and $5 a month donation to help run Mark Who 42 will give you a subscription to the quarterly unnamed fanzine. It's unnamed at this time. But I'm just letting you know that. So if you have any story ideas, any artwork, please send it to us, or at least let us know that you have an idea for something so that we can set you up for that. We'll be starting the Patreon site in a few months so that we can have enough articles and artwork to get at least 2 issues out to start. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Mm-hmm.
So until next time, I'm Mark Baumgarten. With me were Trish Fryer, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Kiros, and our guest, Jeremy Radick. Yay!
Yay!
Oh, yeah. And we will be back with more of Life, the WHOniverse, and everything with Mark Who 42. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Life, the WHOniverse, and Everything with Mark Who 42 was written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Trish Fryer, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Kiros. Our guest this week was Jeremy Radick. The Mark Who 42 podcast you were listening to was edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten. Theme music by Sam Beckwith. Life, the WHOniverse, and Everything with Mark Who 42 is in no way affiliated with the BBC, even though we thank them for putting out such a great show as Doctor Who. Life, the WHOniverse, and Everything with Mark Who 42 is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten 2018.